To me, it's really scary. It's scary as a dad. It's scary as a husband. And I've faced a ton of death threats, particularly from Laura Loomer, who, by the way, this morning is calling me a demon, while also simultaneously blaming the left for political violence in this country. But
you said it best. You said Charlie Kirk is a human being. Anybody celebrating him being shot or using it for clickbait on social media is going straight to hell. The guy's a dad and a husband. No matter how much you disagree with him or don't like him, he doesn't deserve this. Here. Because people tune in at all different times, Mike, I feel like I have to keep saying we unequivocally condemn this violence, period. It is, and you know what it's like. You're obviously a public figure that's been the target of death threats.
Yeah, to me, it's really scary. It's scary as a dad. It's scary as a husband. And I've faced a ton of death threats, particularly from Laura Loomer, who, by the way, this morning is calling me a demon, while also simultaneously blaming the left for political violence in this country. But what happened to Charlie, and I never met Charlie, is horrible. And the video is maybe one of the worst. It's probably the worst thing I've ever seen with my own two eyes, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Yeah. And I usually actively try to avoid looking at things like that. And it's horrible. And I think that all of us have a responsibility to try to use this moment to look in the mirror and find a way to de-escalate where we are in this country. The problem is the president of the United States is literally the worst possible person on the planet to do that. Yeah. And yesterday used his platform to blame the left again, when we don't even know who the shooter is because they can't find him. This guy's on the run. Like, we don't know who he is or what he did or why he did it. And it's worth pointing out here that I just think this is important to say is I mentioned Laura Loomer a second ago. Laura Loomer has been attacking Charlie Kirk for the last several weeks and saying that he is anti-Trump, I believe over Epstein stuff, amongst other things. And she's now scrubbing all of those tweets from her Twitter page.
Well, and Mike, we keep saying everybody on the left has unequivocally condemned this violence. But you're right, as we all know, the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter was a Trump voting Republican MAGA guy. So, there is a lot of talk about that. This could have been someone to the right of Charlie Kirk, someone in MAGA. You don't know. I mean, you've been a target. You tweeted, Laura Loomer once doxed my home address on this website and repeatedly encouraged her followers to go after me, resulting in death threats that mentioned my son. So, who knows if this is a Laura Loomer lunatic? We don't know, but that's why it's so wildly irresponsible for the president of the United States to immediately blame the left. Right. And there's already people vowing revenge, from Jesse Waters to other, right-wing people vowing retribution. I mean,
and it's not just Donald Trump. It's the entire right-wing ecosystem. Like, every conservative influencer's out there blaming the left. They're declaring war on the left. And keep in mind, they declared war on Chicago just like 6 days ago. Donald Trump, that was only 6 days ago that Donald Trump was posting a meme, an AI-generated version of Chicago on fire. So I don't want to be lectured by the modern day Republican Party about civility in our politics. I am very sad and sorry about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm spending, as I have a 6-year-old son, he's got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. They're never going to know their dad. And that is beyond messed up. I don't know if I can curse on your show.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just messed up.
Not any further than that.
Yeah. Not any further than that. No. Well, I wanted to drop an F-bomb, but I don't want to get it.
All right, thank you.
So I know how those fines suck.
And can I just say, Mike, to your point about infighting on the right, and we've seen all this MAGA fighting, whether it's Nick Fuentes and Loomer, and I can't even tell who's on whose side anymore. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Epstein files, clearly, you wonder if it's connected to that, because there's a lot of dissension going on the right on the Epstein cover-up. But the MAGA faithful are piling on Kash Patel after he marked the arrest of the suspect in Kirk's assassination on social media, only to admit less than 2 hours later the subject in custody has been released. Well, they've already been piling on him for his incompetence on this the Epstein file thing, right? So again, this isn't coming from the left. I mean, and as Chris said, they're just hungry for a scalp. And, now we're saying, can we trust the FBI if it doesn't fit their narrative, if it's not someone from the left, right?
Well, let's talk about the FBI for a second, because one, whoever did this was a trained shooter. Like, it was from a distance. And so this is someone who knows what they're doing. And I think the fact that they haven't caught them now 18 hours later, or however long it's been, is crazy to me. Although Kash Patel claimed that they caught him and then claimed that they didn't catch him. So he's all over the place. And that, to me, is the natural consequence of what happens when you appoint an influencer to the head of the FBI who is completely unqualified for the job, because that guy is better at catching clicks than he is at catching criminals. And it is a huge problem. And I don't know that this version of the FBI is up to the task. I pray to God that they find this person and they hold him fully accountable to the law. I don't believe in the death penalty. I'm Catholic, but they should lock him up for the rest of his life. But they're going to politicize this no matter what it is. And they're already going to shape a narrative. Look at what they did in the shooting in Minnesota a few weeks ago. That person may or may not have been trans. I don't know if we ever got confirmation on that, but they decided to blame all mass shootings in America on trans people.
Well,
and this is actually what Charlie Kirk was talking about.
That's what he was saying right before he was demonizing trans people. Right before he was shot, he said, "How many trans people are shooters?" He's like, "Oh, too many." When we know that the percentage is 0.0001% of these shootings.
It's 4 out of 5,200. 4 out of 5,200. But they went full down a narrative hole where they were promising to ban all trans people from owning firearms to the point that the NRA had to step up to their credit and go, no, we think that that's wrong. And in this environment, I'll take any ideological consistency that I can find, even from the NRA.
He raises another point. I've had to compliment the NRA, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul.
John Welcome Bolton. To the resistance,
and
the NRA.
Who in the same week.
I quote yesterday on the Russia-Poland stuff, I quote tweeted, what's his name?
Rand Paul? Or John Bolton.
No,
John Bolton.
I quote tweeted John Bolton, and I'm like, feels weird to say, but John Bolton is absolutely right here. We're just in this bizarre world that we live in now.
But again, both sides don't do it. You said every elected Democrat and left-wing influencer has condemned Kirk's murder, while right-wing pundits are frothing, blaming the left, claiming we want them dead, that we're at war. This will fuel more violence, which at this point seems to be exactly what they want. Shame on every one of them. Again, both sides do not do. We were, remembering the Minnesota thing. All Trump did is use this as an opportunity to name call Governor Walz. He didn't say anything other than that. He had to be asked about it, and then he said, "Oh, it's terrible," but he's a terrible governor, as if was Governor Walz's fault. Right?
Well, he can't help himself. Like, here's the thing. What 80% of Americans want and need in this moment is somebody who is going to come out and say, this was horrible and I am sorry, and we're going to try to bring this country together, and we're going to act like adults in this room. And again, he is a person of low moral character, which is the nicest thing I can say on the radio about him. And he's just the wrong possible person to deal with these situations, because he can't help himself but make it about him and make it about the political points that he wants to make and further erode the country down this ball. What he said last night will lead to more political violence. It creates the conditions for that. The same with all the influencers, the same with the right-wing media. Jesse Waters last night, that's all that it's going to do. It's going to create more violence, and it's sad. It makes me miss Joe Biden, because for all of Joe Biden's faults, and as frustrated as I was with him towards the end, at least I knew that he was a genuinely decent person, and when something bad would happen, he would try to at least comfort the victims, let them know that he cared about them, and try to calm the nation, because it's a traumatic experience, not just for Charlie Kirk's family, who are going to be forever changed by this, but for the nation that has to see those images and not feel safe when they're walking a college campus.
Yeah. Mike, I had the same experience as you. As I said, I didn't know what was happening, so I clicked on it, not knowing it was the actual footage of him being shot, which is traumatic.
Twitter should be held accountable for, I think, the way that the algorithm pushed that video, because it was suddenly everywhere so fast.
Yeah.
The social media companies.
Yeah. So what happens if it ends up being a MAGA person, someone to the right of him, something about the Epstein file? I mean, I'm telling you, Fox will stop talking about it, right? They've been 24/7.
They'll deny it. I mean, there's a reason that, there's a conspiracy theory on the right that, they're always saying, like, we don't know anything about the shooter in Butler who tried to assassinate Donald Trump. We actually know quite a bit about that shooter. The problem is they don't like the narrative, so it isn't pushed as hard.
That's
so if this person ends up being somebody that isn't aligned with the left, they're not going to be able to talk about him in the same way. So they will either ignore it, or more likely they'll just pretend like he was a leftist anyway, which is what they do with the shooter in Butler. I was on News Nation last night, and Leland Vittert, who's the host of the show, brought up the Butler shooter. And I reminded him that he was a registered Republican, and he goes, well, but he was firing bullets at Donald Trump. Like, that's coming from the left. And I go, no, you can fire bullets from the right at Donald Trump. There are people to the right of Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was happening.
Yeah. In fact, the guy they found on his golf course with a gun was also a right-winger. I mean, so...
that guy had gone down like a whole rabbit hole. He was like a Democrat and then an independent, and then he had just gone, I mean, there's a problem here of people who are mentally unstable, using politics as a religion and identity for themselves, and then latching on to things like guns and using it as a way to become famous. Like, that's sometimes what a lot of these school shooters want to do. They want their, like, one moment in the sun before they die. It's almost like a suicide.
By the way, someone tweeted in other news, 51 Republican senators voted to protect pedophiles today. You said Chuck Schumer just broke for protocol to force Senate Republicans to schedule a floor vote on releasing the Epstein file. Republicans are pissed. This is exactly what Democrats should be doing. More of this, please. That's also a week when I compliment Chuck Schumer on top of... But no, we gotta give props when, they do the right thing, because we are just in a way different environment, right? And you were texting me yesterday. You wanted to talk about Poland and about the Kamala book.
Yeah,
and then
right. We're 36 hours removed from Russia attacking Poland, and nobody's talking about that.
Right.
Let alone the president of the United States, who should probably have something to say about it.
Yeah. Oh, well, he did. Some weak ass, whatever. What did he say?
Here
we go. I don't even know what that means.
What's going on with Poland? And I'm like, what are you, Jerry Seinfeld?
That's what I was going to say. Who are these people?
Poland?
Like, what did that tweet mean?
No
Who
idea.
are these people? Oh, here we go. It's like, wait, what? I mean, it's because, and you wrote a whole piece about it, Mike, because he's so weak. You said Russia attacks Poland and Trump's too busy eating seafood. This is what happens when America elects an unqualified narcissist. And, it's just, it's astounding. And that's the only statement he's had about it, which we don't even know what that means. But I'm sure Putin's terrified.
He is the worst possible person to deal with any of the crises that Americans face right now. On the global stage, America has never been weaker, and because of that, our enemies are uniting around each other and feeling more and more emboldened. China is expanding its influence all across the world economically, filling the void of U.S. aid as well as America because of our tariffs. Russia feels more emboldened to the point that they're going to attack Poland. They don't believe that we're going to hold up our end of the bargain on Article 5 if it's called for NATO, if it gets to that point, given how Donald Trump has positioned himself on Ukraine. On this situation with Charlie Kirk and political violence, he's the wrong person to turn the temperature down and make people feel safe. And on the economy, the jobs numbers are dismal. The inflation numbers are rising. Everything's more expensive. And he's living in la-la land. He's either not getting the proper information or he's refusing to live in reality. And on all three of those, which are the three biggest issues in this country right now, he's gone. What's American media?
And as we keep saying all morning, he's politicizing the death of this poor, pretty blonde white Ukrainian woman because it's a person of color that killed her, who's mentally unstable, that fits his narrative of being able to take over cities with his, authoritarian army or whatever. But, and at the meantime, he's letting Putin slaughter how many hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian women? I mean, it's the hypocrisy is staggering, isn't it?
Yeah. If it doesn't fit their narrative, they don't talk about it. And let me be clear, what happened to that woman in North Carolina?
Yes.
Horrible.
No.
I mean that would have been the scariest thing I'd seen this week, but now I've seen the Charlie Kirk video, which was
Well, what if I told you that most collagen products aren't just a waste of money? They're loaded with toxins that could lead to skin issues, heart problems, even cognitive decline. Scary, but it's true. See, collagen is the most abundant protein in your body, and your natural supply drops as you age. That's why so many people our age are turning to collagen to relieve joint pain, rebuild bones, even look years younger. Here's the catch. You have to know what to look for, or you could end up doing more harm than good. Before you buy another tub from Amazon or your local store, go check out the top 5 collagen warnings every American needs to see, along with a special offer. It's a quick read that could save your health and your wallet. Right now, get a special bundle deal at a fraction of the retail price and free shipping. This offer is only available at getnativepath.com/Stephanie. That's getnativepath.com/Stephanie. I love my Native Path collagen. You will too.